The idea of perspective in your family is what Encanto is all about. Your grandmother experienced so much that you just were not around for. You're very much alike in many, many ways, but your experiences have been very different.
Families are wonderful. Families are complicated. Being honest about family is really important.
Jared Bush, who is my creative partner on Zootopia, we started talking, and Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jared had become good friends on Moana. So the three of us said, let's do something together. But the question was, what do we do? What did we have in common? And in getting to know each other, we found out that all three of us had large, crazy, extended families, like cousins and brothers-in-law and aunts and uncles and great aunts and grandmothers and grandfathers. And we thought a movie about a big extended family really hadn't been done as a musical at Disney. So that's where we started.
We really wanted to say, what happens if we can capture the complexity of a family? I think especially in Latin cultures, family is so important. I come from a big family. Everyone I know comes from big families. And so we wanted to be able to capture that complexity in an animated world. And so that was the beginning of our journey with Encanto, was just sharing stories about our families.
In movies with a hero, it can very much become like the hero story, and that's kind of all we're doing. And yet this story is really about a family and all the sort of working parts of that family and how they all function together as a unit.
In big families, you only see above the surface of your cousins, your tias and tios.
You might think that you know someone in your family really well, but unless you kind of take the time to delve below the surface and really get to know them, sometimes there's parts of our family members that are completely hidden.
All the things that we tend to sweep under the rug, this magical house puts it at the forefront of this film.
When you're in a family, you're kind of stuck with each other. And we have to really figure out how to best move forward.
Sometimes it can be challenging, but you're kind of all in it together, and that's a beautiful thing.
It's emotional support, it's physical support. It is one of the biggest treasures that anybody can have.
Our Familia group started to get together probably 2 or 3 years before the release of the film. And how I remember being involved was that a few of us were tapped around the studio to say, hey, Jared and Byron are creating a film about family, about a Latinx-based family. Do you feel comfortable chatting? So I remember going into the room and seeing all these beautiful brown faces, some that I knew, some that I didn't. So excited to meet everyone. And Jared and Byron just started by talking about their family and their dynamics, and they shared a lot.
Familia was created from a partnership that the creative development team had with the people in D&I at the studio and the filmmakers' just hunger of hearing from the community from within.
We were really lucky with having a group of people that wanted to come and hang out and talk and really share a lot of stories with us.
Some of the first meetings were very emotional and they were very casual, and it was just sharing food and sharing stories. And then it really evolved from that.
That group got together quite a bit before we all went into quarantine, so we were actually able to spend some social time with them as well. And we had domino lunches where everyone would play dominoes and share food.
We didn't just talk about work, or we actually didn't just talk about the movie. We talked about anything.
My Spanish is terrible. I'll regret it forever that I'm not fluent. But you know, other people felt that way too. When I first got to join the Familia, I think I had realized that it was a community I was missing. Being out in LA and not having my family, it was just this huge sense of community that I didn't know I missed. We opened up all of those doors into each other's feelings and how being any form of Latinx is Latinx enough. You don't need to meet all of these standards to be who you are. And I think that was something I really learned within the group. It just didn't matter who you were or what your role is or how long you were there or where you came from. It was just one big familia.
I just remember them making us feel super comfortable to be vulnerable about this is what it's like to grow up in a Latinx household. We meet probably once a month, once every couple of months, and Jared and Byron would start to show research photos character descriptions, they'd pitch a storyboard, they showed us the script a couple of times, and then we got to see the journey that the story was starting to take. And we would make comments of like, my Theo has really dark skin like that, but I'm more fair skinned, and we're still in the same family. And then as they went into production and the other departments started to roll on, we still got to be involved and we got to watch screenings.
I was able to step into this room with other people who had similar experiences as me and get to cry about them and talk about them.
I was also a part of the Familia group, so I was able to also share stories about my family, about family roles, about how we are so close to each other, how we live with our parents until we're much older, where families tend to stay close to each other, even if they live in different houses. Like, for example, my parents live 5 minutes from the houses of my siblings now, where my nephews and nieces live.
In my household, it was just my mom and my grandma. And my grandma came from Puerto Rico. I shared with Jared and Byron a lot about what that was like for me growing up, just the idea of going to college, what that was like. But for a Latinx household, if you were to go to college, the norm is to stay pretty close. And I traveled very far to California.
My family's the same. They still don't understand what I do, but they love me for it. And yeah, I moved 3,000 miles away from mine. And until I got my job at Disney Animation, they were like, when are you coming home? The distance was definitely the hardest part. And I just wish I could take all of them with me.
I can't imagine us having done this movie without that Familia group.
No, it would have been impossible. And also, it wasn't just the Familia group. We met their families as well over the course of making this movie.
I had never met Byron and Jared before, but they wanted to hear all of our stories. They wanted to talk to my mom, to my Abuela.
We had some three-generation meetings sometimes, which were great because you'd get exactly those vibes. Here's the Abuela, and here's the mom, and here's the daughter, and all of them, and you could see each relationship was a little different in how they related to each other. It was really, really fun.
So I think that was the day I cried in the Familia group the most, because Jared and Byron made me feel so comfortable that I talked about the complexity of the Latinx experience of needing to stay close to family, needing to take care of family. But there was this other part of me of like, there's an experience over here at Disney Animation that I really want to go for. What do I do? So we talked a lot about that push and pull of your culture versus doing the things that you want to do for you.
We need to steer clear of cliches completely. So we've done tons of research to make sure that we're authentic as possible, that the family relationships are real and Colombian.
Abuela is the pillar of the family, is the center. She's putting a shield in front, like to be strict, but she's just trying to protect the entire family.
She takes the responsibility of leading not only her family, but I think also her community very seriously.
Everything is fine. We are the Madrigals.
We wanted to play with a character who could both be someone you look up to as a hero, but also a real flawed person.
The world doesn't know the fear that she has to protect her family. Nobody sees that. All they see is elegance. All they see is how well she's done to bring her family together. And that was my grandmother.
Mira, mi caso, por otros motivos. Yo quedé viuda hace casi 30 años y quedé con mi hijo y a mí fue la que me tocó ser la fuerte de la familia, sacar adelante a mi hijo, pues en ese caso, y en mi propia familia también, con mis hermanos y todo, un poco parecido también. Mi mamá era la dura de la familia.
Abuela Alma was a disruptor, and she was different, and she had to make things work with the cards that were handed to her. And then Mirabel is doing the same. And I feel that connection to my father, because even though we're very different, we both had to be disruptors in our own way. And that's what makes us so similar, even though we think we're so different.
I think about my own grandma when I see Abuela.
As I was saying,
her house, her rules type of mentality. You don't break any of those rules, and if you do, you're gonna get an earful.
She reminds me of my grandma. She was the strength of the family who just did whatever she needed to keep the family going. One of the nice little details that one of our animation supervisors added was just like a very specific lip shape that I love. I don't know why, it just nails her.
Pepa, calm down.
I'm doing my best.
Yes.
You're lucky it's not a hurricane.
Pepa originally was indestructible, but we found was that her power was too close to Luisa and people actually got them confused. And early on, Mirabel's mother was the one who controlled the weather. Eventually, the weather went to Pepa, which is great.
My wife is very much like Pepa, and I envy that. She's kind of the opposite of me. I'm a little more of an Agustín.
I always thought she must be one of the most tortured characters because she's not allowed to have emotional outbursts. Otherwise, she could cause a flood and destroy the crops.
There's guys.
I remember some early viz dev of like the hair being in like an emotional part of it. You could change how her hair frizzed out at some points when she was like angry or sad.
Pepa es una bomba. It's like a book. You can read her, and she's an instigator too. She's a powerful woman in order to be married to that man, Félix. Yes, for sure.
And people are going to be coming, and nothing's ready. The whole town will be here.
For anybody who's ever been in a room with a Colombian, you know that that's where the life of the party is going to be, and that's Félix. He's bringing so much love and passion, and all you want to do is dance and laugh when you're around him.
We actually talked about it a lot in our Familia group, about that person in the family who, for whatever reason, nobody really talks about. And it feels like everybody that we talked to really had someone in their family that was like that, sort of family outcast.
Wait, have you been in here patching the cracks?
Oh, that? No. I'm too scared to go near those things. All the patching's done by Hernando.
Who is Hernando?
I am Hernando. I am scared of nothing.
Trying to find the right personality. I gotta say, when we got John Leguizamo's voice, you were like, thank you for this man.
Well, I left my tower, which was a lot of stairs, and in here, kitchen adjacent.
You think about it for too long, it's like this guy lives behind the kitchen. John Leguizamo had so much warmth and so much humor that it kind of can help stand off some of the sad edges.
I used to say my real gift was acting. I think you should go because, well, actually, I don't have a good reason, but I'm getting very uncomfortable.
He's someone who's trying to hide, so he's kind of like folding into himself a little and like pulling his legs up, not standing up tall, like kind of just trying to like not be noticed.
Julieta is a cook. My mom was an amazing cook, and her chicken soup was the best. Actually, really, I think is a cure for colds.
I know many Julietas. She's trying to recognize Abuela's traditions, but also validate and see the next generation coming in. She wants to please Abuela. She understands Abuela. She wants to please Mirabel. She understands Mirabel. So, and she loves them both. So. It's beautiful to see the interaction of three generations.
Remember, you have nothing to prove.
I think Agustín started off a little more straight-laced and stiff, and now he's become this goofy dad.
Agustín can relate to Mirabel in a way nobody else can because he is also part of the family and he doesn't have a gift.
Just act normal. No one has to know.
Dolores has bounced around a little bit.
Dolores is the one in every family that is the communicator, the one that tells the rest of the family what's going on. We all need one Dolores in every family because we don't have the time sometimes to communicate everything.
We had an amazing result with Dolores, with the curly hair, with the cumbia dress, and it's a very typical Colombian girl, like mixed dark skin, kind of cumbia attitude. And that was a very nice moment of the work we had with Dolores.
Camilo, where's the shot?
Camilo is fun for a lot of departments because he has to turn into different characters.
You know, it's that cousin that's always getting on your case. Que se la monta un poquito más de lo que debería.
Overall, I think we have really good hair in this movie, but I remember Camilo having a very specific silhouette.
Luisa was a really fun one. She's got a lot of iconography of weights in her design. She's a very appealing character. She feels like she's ready to be lifting some heavy things, but still feels feminine.
She was extremely difficult to get right. We tried a lot of versions of pants and shorts and that sort of thing, Explorer women, but in the end it just didn't feel right to have her in pants, so she ended up with a skirt, but it's a very practical skirt.
She's the strongest one in town. She could be bossing people around, but she is the opposite, and she can't take the pressure anymore of pleasing everybody.
Nothing's wrong! You would think someone that's that strong, though. She's not emotional, but Luisa is.
Our team did an amazing job keeping her vulnerable and real.
Maybe I overdo it.
Yep.
Isabela to us was effortless. Like, that was always the prompt. She was the poster child for the family. She's the one that everyone should be striving to be like.
Please don't clap.
And she just makes it all look easy. And then we see that it's not that easy, and everyone has their own problems.
The directors from early on wanted, her to be more of the indigenous roots, so sort of like looking more like Abuelo. Neisa, a costume designer, did a lot of iterations. The directors kind of wanted something effortless.
It's hard in animation to make things look effortless. It takes a lot of work.
She ended up with the different tier dress, that just felt very ethereal.
Yeah, and her superpower is great too. I think we've had multiple conversations about making sure she's specific enough where those flowers are an emotional piece of her life.
Me and my sister had that kind of Mirabel-Isabella relationship. As we got older, we find out more about each other and we learn none of us are flawless, and I think that's what brings us closer together as sisters.
Antonio may be the heart of our story.
The gift that he can talk to animals came to him because he has this connection to nature. Through his eyes, we see how beautifully rich Colombia's nature is.
Antonio will be like a little superhero. I think that's very nice to change that idea to the Black Boys of Colombia. Understanding that relationship with nature and living in a jungle environment can also be the characteristics of a special boy, not only flying like Superman. I imagine, for example, my nephew saying, I want to be like Antonio and not, I want to be like Superman, So I think it's very nice to create new references of identity to Black boys in Colombia.
He and Mirabel have a really, really special relationship. I think of anyone in the family, the two of them bond the most.
I wish you could have a door. You know what? You don't have to worry about me.
I have a lot of ways that I feel very deeply connected to this story. The biggest one is Mirabel. When I was 14, I definitely felt like I didn't belong.
The filmmakers wanted Mirabel to be the antithesis of what everybody would think of when they think of the ideal Disney heroine. She is quirky and flawed and nuanced, and there's nothing about her that is perfect. She is finding herself, and she is bumbling and comedic. In casting, we call it looking for a unicorn.
I am sorry that your life is so great.
We were looking for an actress who has comedic chops, who can sing, and has, all three of those elements.
Welcome to the family Madrigal, the home of the family Madrigal. I know it sounds a bit fantastical and magical, but I'm part of the family Madrigal.
When we did find Stephanie and the guys met her, it was like, the aha moment and the light went off.
Yes! Pretty close.
Oh, yes. That's crazy. What are you talking about? You guys don't be nervous. As somebody who also uses comedy to sort of lighten the mood or try to, make the best of the situation, I think Mirabel, because she wasn't given a magical gift, she's kind of had to rely on sort of her personality to get her through whatever's happening.
Even though she doesn't have any superpowers, she's able to bring some perspective to the rest of the family. People are able to be honest around her, and she's able to see parts of the family that they aren't capable of showing each other. If it wasn't for her, the rest of the family wouldn't know about these different sides of each other.
I will never be good enough for you.
I compared my relationship with my dad as Mirabel's relationship with Abuela Alma. At the beginning, it was hard for him to let me be and embrace this filmmaking experience that I decided to embark on. That wasn't what he thought the path of success was.
And whatever you're doing, stop doing it.
We sat down and we had a conversation just like Abuela Alma and Mirabel have by the river, where we saw each other as who we are. Something that I really admire about him is that no matter how old you are, no matter if you're 55 or 75 or any age, you can change and you can see your family differently. We don't stop changing as human beings. And I admire someone like my father or Abuela Alma, and they can change the parameters in which they see their family. And that is beautiful.
We really want to look at family and show it for what it is, and to not make family have to be perfect.
It paints a pretty true picture of the challenges that people go through inside that they don't always talk about.
I think even amongst themselves, maybe perhaps their idea of family changes over the course of the movie. So it starts out feeling like it's one thing, and in the end, I think it's something different.
It's like this evolution of what family means to them through this kind of big struggle that they all go through and then come out of at the end.
I would say it's a family just like everyone's family, and yet unlike any family that anyone has met.
Family is your rock, your support. They're gonna be there no matter what. Through tough times, through the good times, and we accept each other for our differences and our strengths and weaknesses and all that fun stuff, right? We can see our entire families in this movie.
Mi mamá, mi papá, mis hermanos. Yo veo a todo el mundo en esa película.
I feel like we all have photos where we're at a big party, and that is literally the familia.
Latinx families are this huge web of everyone. Your whole community becomes your familia.
I do think there's something really beautiful reminding us that we should connect to our elders, to the people that came before us, and also to the new generations that come behind.
This was the movie I wish I had when I was younger, when I wanted to see something that looked like me and I didn't have it. So to be part of something for another little brown girl, I think is just gonna be the greatest moment of my life so far. I want it for me, but also for the kids I don't have yet, and their kids and their grandkids. Like, I want this to be someone else's favorite movie because they feel seen. And we don't have a lot of that. For me, Encanto is a way to fulfill my ancestors' dreams. My ancestors might not have said, go work at Disney Animation, but I think they would have been so proud to see ways that we can help representation of the Latinx community in such a beautiful, authentic way, to showcase our culture, just celebrating life and each other and joy and happiness. It's my way, or our way, to help bring us forward in society.
Hey, salud.
Great spending time with you.
Salud.
Muchas gracias. Gracias a todos.